1. Introduction. My name is Margot. I live in a small town. It is a very old and beautiful place. Everyone in the town knows each other. Life here is quiet and simple, but our traditions are very important. We follow many old ways that have been part of our families for hundreds of years. In our town, there are many rules about how we live, especially about family and marriage. The most important rule is about who a person can marry. A woman must marry a man from our own culture. He must be from our town or a town very similar to ours. He must share our traditions and our beliefs. This rule is very strict. Families always choose the husband for their daughters. This is how it has always been for many, many years. It is a big part of our life. When I was a little girl, my parents often spoke about my future. They told me, "Margot, you will marry a good man. He will be from our culture. He will be a kind man from our town. This is our promise to you, and it is your promise to us." They said this with love in their eyes. They believed this was the best path for my happiness. I always listened to my parents. I loved them very much. I believed in their words. As a child, I thought this was the only way to live. I accepted this promise with a happy heart. I never thought about breaking it. I wanted to be a good daughter and make my family proud. I imagined my future husband, a man from our town, a man my family chose for me. I thought my life would be simple and clear, following the path my parents planned. I never imagined that one day everything would change. I never imagined that I would meet someone who was not from our town, someone who was very different. And I never imagined how much that meeting would change my life forever. 2. A new friend. I started a new job in our town at a big company. One day, I met a man named Dan. He was also new to the company. Dan was from a different country. This was unusual in our small town where most people were from our culture. Dan was a kind man. He was tall, with warm eyes and a nice smile. We worked in the same office, so we saw each other every day. At first, we only talked about work, but soon we started to talk about other things too. We talked about books we liked. We talked about different types of coffee. We shared stories about our lives and our dreams. I quickly learned that Dan was easy to talk to. He listened and understood my thoughts. When I was with him, I felt very comfortable. I laughed a lot when Dan was around. It was a new feeling for me. It felt like I could truly be myself, like I could breathe freely. Our friendship grew stronger each day. We spent more time together, often drinking coffee and talking for hours. Then, I started to feel something more than friendship. My heart felt warm, and I thought about him often. I realized I was developing special feelings for Dan. This feeling was strong, but it also made me feel very afraid. I knew this was wrong for me. My family had clear rules about marriage. A woman must marry a man from our own culture. Dan was not from my culture or my country. My parents would never approve of him and would be very upset. I felt conflicted inside. Part of me wanted to be with Dan, but another part knew the strict rules. I knew my family's promise. I was scared of what would happen if anyone knew about my feelings, as my parents would never accept Dan. This made me sad, but I could not stop my feelings. It was a difficult time for my heart. 3. My family's choice. One evening, my parents called me to the living room. They looked happy. My father began to speak. He said, "Margot, we have found a husband for you." My mother added, "His name is Sem. He is a very good man." They explained that Sem was from our town. His family was well known and respected. My parents said Sem was kind and worked hard. They believed he would take good care of me. They said this marriage would be good for our family. It would follow our traditions. They looked at me with great joy. They were very proud of this choice. I listened to their words. I saw their happy faces. I knew how important this was to them. It was their biggest wish for me. If I said no, I would hurt them deeply. I would break their hearts. I would bring shame to our family name. This thought filled me with fear. I did not want to disappoint them. I did not want to be the one who broke our family's long-standing traditions. So, I made a difficult choice. It was not a choice for myself, but a choice for my family. I looked at my parents and quietly said, "Yes, I will marry Sem." My parents hugged me. They were very pleased. They immediately began to plan the wedding ceremony. After that day, everything changed for me. I knew I could not see Dan anymore. I could not speak to him. It felt too hard to explain. My heart felt heavy all the time. I did not tell Dan about Sem. I did not say goodbye to him. I simply stopped meeting him. I stopped answering his messages. I knew this was not fair to him, but I felt trapped. Every night I thought about Dan. I remembered our talks and our shared laughter. I thought about his kind eyes and how I felt when we were together. I cried silently in my bed. I was going to marry a man I did not love. I was going to leave the man I cared for deeply. The wedding day came closer and closer. My sadness grew with each passing day. My heart was full of sorrow. For a sad marriage. The day of my wedding to Sem arrived quickly. It was a very big and traditional event, just like my family had planned. Many family members and friends from our town were there. The hall was decorated beautifully, and the music was loud and cheerful. Delicious food was served. All the guests looked happy. They smiled and talked loudly, celebrating this important union. My parents looked very proud. They had found a good match for me, a man from our culture and from a respected family. They truly believed this was a perfect day. But inside, I felt a deep sadness. My heart was heavy. I tried to smile, but it was hard. I looked at the joyful faces around me, and I felt completely alone in my own celebration. Sem was my husband now. He was a man from our town, from a well-known and respected family. He had a good job and was considered successful. Many people respected him. He was always polite to my parents and to others. He was not a cruel person, but he was not kind in the way I needed. He did not show me love or affection. He did not show me warmth. He did not look at me with tenderness. Sem liked to control things in our life. He had many rules for me, which he made clear very quickly. He did not like me to wear certain clothes, like my comfortable jeans, saying they were not suitable for a married woman. He wanted me to dress in a specific way, always. He did not like when I spoke too loudly or laughed too much, especially when other people were around. He said it was not proper for a wife. He wanted me to be quiet and reserved. He always told me what to do and how to act, even about small things. He checked what I was doing and asked many questions about my day, not because he cared, but because he wanted to know everything and control it. I felt like a bird in a small cage. My wings were strong and my spirit wanted to fly, but I could not. My voice wanted to sing, but I had to be silent. My life became small and predictable. I felt trapped inside our home and inside myself. Every day was the same. There was no freedom, no joy, and no real connection. I missed my old life, my old self, before this marriage. I missed feeling light and free. This new life felt heavy, like a constant weight on my shoulders. In our home, there was no love between us. There was no affection. Sem did not hold my hand or give me a warm hug. He did not look at me with love in his eyes. When he touched me, it was not with tenderness or care. It felt cold, like he was doing a duty, not sharing a moment of closeness. It was like he was performing a job. Our marriage was a contract, not a partnership based on feelings. We shared a house and a name, but we did not share our hearts. I lived next to a stranger and I felt deeply alone. 5, an old friend. Life at home was quiet and sad. I felt like a bird in a cage. My days were always the same. There was no joy, no real happiness. Sometimes I went to a small cafe in town. It was a place where I could sit alone. I drank coffee and watched people. It was a small escape from my sad marriage. One afternoon, I was sitting at my usual table. I was looking out the window. Then I saw him. My heart stopped. It was Dan. He was walking into the cafe. He looked the same. His kind eyes looked around the room. Then they found me. His face showed surprise. "Margot," he said. His voice was soft. I could not speak. My mouth felt dry. A warm feeling mixed with sadness filled my chest. My eyes began to fill with water. Tears fell down my face. I wiped them quickly, but he had seen them. He came closer to my table. He looked at me with a worried face. "Are you all right?" he asked. I shook my head slowly. I could not say no. My throat felt tight. At that moment, I knew. All the old feelings were still there. They were hiding deep inside me, but they were alive. I still loved him. Dan pulled a chair and sat down opposite me. He did not ask many questions at first. He just sat there, quiet. He looked at me with understanding in his eyes. We stayed like that for a few minutes. The sounds of the cafe were around us, but I only heard my own heart. Finally, I found my voice. It was a whisper. "I am not happy," I said. It was the truth. It was the first time I had said it out loud. Saying it to Dan felt strange but right. He listened carefully. We started to talk slowly. We talked about my life now. I told him about my marriage. I told him I felt alone. He listened with care. He did not judge me. We knew we could not talk like this in public. Our town was small. People knew everything. So we decided to meet again. We would meet in quiet places, away from everyone. It had to be a secret. I felt a mix of fear and strange happiness. My heart, which had been asleep, started to wake up. The feelings for Dan were now returning. They were strong and clear. I knew they had never truly left. 6. A big secret. After seeing Dan at the cafe, my life changed. We started to meet in secret places. We knew it was dangerous, but we could not stop. Sometimes we met in a quiet park far from my home. Other times, we found a small, hidden cafe in a different part of town. These places felt like a safe haven, a small world just for us. No one from my town knew about these meetings. No one from my family knew. I told Dan everything about my life. I told him about my unhappy marriage with Sem. I told him how Sem was controlling and how I felt like a bird in a cage. I told him about the silence in our home and the lack of love. I told him how sad and lonely I felt every day. Dan listened to every word. He did not judge me or tell me I was wrong. He just listened with his kind eyes. He often held my hand. His touch was soft and full of understanding. He told me, "Margot, you do not have to live like this. You deserve happiness. You deserve true love." His words were like a warm light in my dark life. They gave me a little hope, a feeling I had not felt in years. But I was still afraid. I knew that my actions were against my family's strict rules. I knew that if anyone found out, it would be a very big problem. One day, I decided to talk to my sister. She was older than me, and I trusted her more than anyone else. I told her a little about Dan and how unhappy I was with Sem. I did not tell her everything, but I told her enough. Her eyes grew wide with worry. She looked very afraid for me. She said, "Margot, you must stop meeting this man. This will bring great shame to our family. People in our town will talk badly about us. Our parents will be heartbroken. You will lose everything you have." Her words made me think for a long time. For a few days, I felt even more afraid than before. But then, I thought about my life with Sem again. I thought about the emptiness in my heart and the sadness I felt every morning. I thought about Dan's kind face and his words about happiness. I realized that I was already losing everything important by staying in this marriage without love. I decided that I did not care about the shame anymore. I cared about feeling alive. I cared about my own happiness. The next time I met Dan, it was evening. We were walking near a quiet river away from any houses. The moon was bright in the sky. I looked at him, and he looked at me. I felt a strong, deep feeling in my heart. It was a feeling of love and hope. I leaned closer to him and kissed him. It was a soft kiss, but it was full of many years of unspoken feelings. For the first time in many, many years, I truly felt alive. My heart beat fast, not from fear, but from joy. It was a big secret, but it was my secret, and it felt right. Our secret meetings continued for some time. Every moment I spent with Dan, I felt happy and free. But secrets are very hard to keep forever. One day, I came home later than usual. Sem was waiting for me. His face was dark with anger. He did not say a word. He just held up my phone. On the screen, there was a message from Dan. It was a simple message that said, "Thinking of you." But Sem had seen it. His eyes were full of a cold, hard anger. In that moment, everything broke. My big secret was out. 7, a hard time. The door opened suddenly. Sem stood there. His face was red and his eyes were full of anger. He looked at me, then around the room. He started to shout. His voice was very loud. He screamed words about betrayal and lies. He screamed about my secret meetings with Dan. His words hit me like stones. My heart beat fast. I felt a mix of fear and a strange new strength. This was the moment I knew everything would change. There was no going back now. Soon, my parents came. They heard Sem's loud voice. My mother's eyes were wide, and tears began to fall down her face. My father looked at me with deep sadness. They did not shout. Their silence was worse. It showed their pain and their shame. My uncle also came. He stood with my parents and looked at me. He said I was a disgrace to our family. My relatives looked at me with cold eyes. They did not see their daughter or their niece. They saw a problem, a broken rule, a source of shame for everyone. But this time, I did not cry. I did not hide. I stood up tall. I looked at Sem, then at my family. My voice was quiet, but it was firm and clear. I do not love Sem, I said. I am leaving him. I am leaving this life. Everyone in the room became silent. They were shocked. They did not expect these words from me. For a moment, I felt very scared. But a bigger feeling of freedom grew inside me. I had said the truth. I had chosen my own path. The days after that were very difficult. The divorce was not easy. There were many papers to sign and many talks with lawyers. It was a long and tiring process. My small town knew everything. People whispered when I walked in the street. They looked at me with judgment. Old friends did not smile at me anymore. Some people even turned their backs when I passed. I felt like an outsider in my own hometown. My family also turned away from me. My sister, who I had told my secret to, stopped calling me. My mother did not invite me for Sunday dinner. Family holidays passed without me. I was not part of their lives anymore. The silence from my family was very heavy. It was a constant reminder of the traditions I had broken. I was alone in my pain, facing the disapproval of everyone I had known since I was a little girl. It was truly a hard time in my life, but I was not completely alone. Dan was there. He came to see me every day. He listened when I cried. He held my hand when I felt lost. He told me, "You are strong, Margot. You are brave." He helped me find a new place to live. It was a small apartment, far from my old house and my family. He helped me buy new furniture and make it a home. He helped me start a new life, step by step. He was my light in the dark, my hope in a time of great sadness. Without him, I do not know how I would have found the strength to go on. 8. A new promise. Many years passed after the difficult time. Life was very different now. I had built a new life for myself, step by step. It was a happy life, full of peace and new beginnings. I found a lovely new apartment, which truly felt like my own home. I also started a new job. My new work was interesting, and my colleagues were kind and welcoming. I made new friends who understood my journey. They supported me, and I felt stronger every day. My family was still not part of my life. They did not call me for birthdays or holidays. They did not visit me. This distance sometimes brought a quiet sadness. It was a hard part of my new life, knowing they were not with me. But I knew deep down that I had made the right choice for myself. I slowly learned to accept this distance. I chose to focus on the many good things and loving people that were now around me. Dan and I were very happy together. He was always by my side, offering support and understanding. We shared everything in our daily lives. We cooked simple meals together in our cozy kitchen, often singing along to music. We listened to our favorite songs and danced in the living room. We laughed often, and every day felt bright with him. We also loved to travel and explore. We visited new cities and saw beautiful places. Each trip was a new adventure for us, and we made many wonderful memories together. One summer, Dan and I went on a special trip to Italy. It was a beautiful country with old buildings and delicious food. We walked through small, pretty towns, feeling relaxed and free. One afternoon, we were standing on a small, old bridge. The sun was setting slowly, painting the sky with colors of orange, pink, and purple. Dan looked at me with his warm, loving eyes. He took my hand gently. Then he asked me a very important question. He asked me to marry him. My heart was completely full of joy and love. I did not need to think for even 1 second. I said yes immediately, with a big smile. This was not the wedding my parents wanted for me. It was not the life they had planned or the promise they expected me to keep. I had broken the old promise I made to my family a long time ago, but in doing so, I had also made a new promise. I made a promise to myself. This promise was to live a life that was truly happy. It was to live a life that was completely free. Most importantly, it was to live a life that was full of true love, chosen by me. This new promise was the one I kept. It was the best promise I ever made.
Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.